So don't say anything. When we talk about our way, there's apt to be some misunderstanding, because the true way always has at least two sides, the negative and the positive. So when we talk about the negative side, guess what? The positive side is missing, and when we talk about the positive side, the negative side is missing. We cannot speak in a positive and a negative way at the same time, so we do not know what to say. It's almost impossible to talk about Buddhism. So not to say anything, just to practice it is the best way. Showing one finger or drawing a circle may be the best way, or simply to bow. So there was a famous teacher, a famous Zen master, who gave the one finger teaching. Have you heard of that one? Where he just, all he did was hold up a finger to demonstrate the way, because he was trying to demonstrate that you can't actually give the teaching through words. So I thought, because I had this finger today with the bandage on it, that I could demonstrate my one finger teaching today. So I always thought rakusus would make really good little puppet shows, you know, run little Buddhist puppet tunnel. So, the Buddha, as you know, is called the Golden Lion. I don't think I can do it without moving my lips, that's the trouble. Anyway, so here's a modern one finger teaching, just to cover the bandage. So, only hold up one finger is the way to teach. And then he goes on about how to listen. So I'll just do a few words on that too. Let's see. When we listen, can you listen to someone talk without trying to figure out some intellectual understanding? Without trying to understand from just one side? This is how we listen to a talk. So, poor little lion. So this is the Suzuki Roshi talking really on the impossibility of talking. So my question was, does the joy come from the same place as the unplanned words? That's one of those lovely mysteries. You know, in Zen, the answers are much more interesting than the questions. So that's just a question for you. Does the joy come from the same mysterious place as the words? So in thinking about joy, I found this wonderful book that I used to have years ago, and this one is just simply a recommendation for anyone who would like to do some work around the topic of joy. It's called The Legacy of the Heart, or simply Legacy of the Heart. This is by Wayne Mueller. Now, the subtitle is The Spiritual Advantages of a Painful Childhood. It's a lot easier to find objects in mind, thoughts, memories that are painful than it is to find thoughts and memories that are joyful. If you tried right now, I bet you could come up with quite a few things that have happened already today that were not too pleasant, but could you come up with something joyful that happened today? A few years ago, Time magazine asked Michael Wenger, who's a priest up at Zen Center, do you have miracles in Buddhism? And he said, oh yes, we do. And so they said, well, give me an example of a Buddhist miracle. And Michael said, the next breath. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by stripping things down. Stripping off, stripping down, taking away. I always think one dreadful part of the American Constitution is the right to pursue happiness. the right to run after happiness. It doesn't say we have the right to be happy. It says we have the right to pursue happiness. And that brings a horrible image to my mind of us scrambling and running after where we can find happiness, where we can find joy. And my contention is there is actually nothing to look for outside of yourself, and the joy is actually right in here. And to uncover it, guess what I would recommend?
Zazen.
Zazen! Exactly, Zazen! Now, of course, there's a million zillion self-help books around, but Zazen. I was teaching on Thursday at the AIDS Foundation, at the SPEED project, so I was given a workshop for folks who have AIDS and use SPEED. And it was a different crowd than usual. There were actually a couple of women there. It's very unusual for me to attract women when I'm teaching. It's usually men. But the point being that there were about 30 people, and we were trying to come up with ways to de-stress. In other words, ways to drop off the cover-up and to uncover what's underneath, which is the joyful part. So I find myself teaching a lot these days without, I never wear this kind of thing unless I'm at a place where it's people who recognize Buddhism. And I never mention Buddha, and I try to avoid any words that are anything to do with the religion. So these days I'm working at a wide variety of places. But all I'm teaching really is Zazen, because Zazen takes away the stress. Zazen allows the stress to go, allows anything that's covering up to be dropped off. I almost wanted to actually do the talk before the Zazen this time, because when you get right down to it, that's where we can find our joy. So how does it work? Just very simply. And I'm sure everybody here knows this. And also, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. I think talks are often just reminders. Oh, remember that part? So in Zazen, in sitting, the absolute freedom of Zazen is, of course, that stress occurs from anticipating the future, worrying about what's going to come, worrying about, can I get that? Oh, I hope that doesn't happen. Or thinking about the past. Oh, I wish I hadn't said that. I wish that hadn't happened. If we can bring our mind right here in this moment, none of that applies. None of that. Now, that of course sounds very easy, and as you know, I moved out of being in a monastic training situation 9 months ago. And over that time I've had doubts. So can we really get to this place of peace if we're not in monastic training? I've been wondering about that. Is it the fact that every day was scheduled from the moment I woke up at 4:45 till 9 o'clock at night, and it was all about meditation, and it was on and on and on? Is that what caused change to happen? Or is that possible if you do your meditation simply with regularity? So that's what I've been looking at in this last while. Can we do it? Or do you all have to find the peace of mind, the joy, by giving this up, going off to the monastery and wearing robes all the time? So far, my answer is the joy is right here. With the meditation, if you can just make that attempt to do the kind of meditation where you stay right here. If you can practice that with regularity, that to me is our way. That to me is the peaceful